like Twitch is sort of peddling it as themselves as a non-inclusive mechanic.
I said a lot of people with cis white male sounding voices are here telling me that voice chat isn't a problem, and that is a fact. Y'all have voices that aren't marginalized coming in and saying, just mute, it's not an issue. Everyone faces harassment. I've heard it all. You're just repeating my like a year ago.
Do the fucking staff at Twitch even play video games? Okay, now here's the thing that like absolutely burns me a little bit. You got people who have no fucking say, no right to say in anything about competitive games, because you can tell by the actual statements they make the lack of actual competitive gaming, or I think gaming in general, that they do. Imagine playing a game like Rainbow Six Siege. I play that game all the time. It's a great fucking game. I like it. Granted, Ubisoft's been taking some bad roads down the line. We'll get to that in another video, but I play it actively. You know what you need for Rainbow Six Siege? Voice chat to make callouts. It's such a basic requirement of almost every game you play. CSGO, Valorant, Siege, Call of Duty, Battlefield, anything. You need voice chat. For one of your staff members to make such a stupid claim, and then you back it, makes you look like a fucking tool, Twitch. I mean, there's just no way that that's even defendable at all. Like, what about that statement is in any way fucking true? I think the problem is that most of the people who complain about this kind of stuff, I feel like have had almost no fucking real life experience. And I'll explain that in a second, okay? I understand you went online. And, to be honest, I'll admit it this much. When you're probably a girl on the internet and you sound really girly, there are fucking creepy guys on the platform. I agree. Dude, trust me. I see that shit for sure. I play with women. I understand the stuff that they can go through. But the reality of it is, welcome to the real fucking world. I'm sorry, there are assholes and pieces of shit on the internet, and you just came across some of them. That's why you go into your goddamn game options and just mute them. How hard is it to just mute someone? And honestly, if you were to play competitively anyways, you're probably stacked up and using third-party tools like Discord or TeamSpeak, where you have a group of people that aren't going to be doing this to you anyways. I get that you want to make callouts. I understand. And you know what? I get the frustration with it. I'm not disregarding it. I get that there's a side to this statement. But to make these sweeping generalizations like, ooh, it's not fair for marginalized gamers or people of other genders, like, what do you mean by that? The whole concept for these people is that if you sound like a white cisgendered person, what do you mean, like this? Like a normal person, like a normal gamer or whatever? Like, is this the voice you're going for? What is this voice? Please describe it to me, and please tell me the apex normal voice to have for video gaming. Because in my personal experience, I think nowadays gaming is like just a little less toxic. Actually far less toxic than what it was years ago. You want to see what gaming was like years ago? You want to see what like old Xbox 360 lobbies were that these fucking people could never survive in? Here, let me play them back for you.
Fuck you, dickhead. Fucking motherfucker. Fucking idiot. You look like a loser right now. You just received using your mind shield,
motherfucker. That's what the fuck you are.
Keep using your mind shield.
Hold it. I'm gonna bend your mother over my knees, shave her ass hair, roll it up in a blunt, and make you smoke it.
Fucking Halo 3 clips gets me every time, dude. Now, this is where, like, it gets a little bit more funnier, if also a bit more sad. Now, this is one of the actual Twitch ambassadors, allegedly. I'm not sure how true that statement is. Twitch ambassador, second place finisher in Twitch Rivals, Apex Legends, TwitchCon 2019, here to tell you that mandatory voice chat in competitive games give marginalized communities a distinct advantage by forcing them to choose between silence or abuse. Ooh, heavy words there. Heavy words to take. And this is where it gets, god damn it, Too Mad, get out of Twitter. Too Mad 360. You're gonna tell me that you were second place, in Apex Legends, a competitive game, and you're that against voice chat? Huh. This is where, like, if you took the 3 seconds it takes to actually, Google the facts, you'll find out she came in around like 7th or 8th place. Justin Wang signal boosted it, and basically it came out within like 5 seconds of Google, and you pretty much lied. So she was using the second place credential to make it seem like she was better than anybody. She had like some degree to stand up when it came to voice chat. I mean, granted, 7th and 8th place isn't bad either, but it's a fair discrepancy you didn't want to mention. And never wanting to own up to it, hilarious. Now, another actual gamer came out and tweeted back to her about being dyslexic. And this is something that, voice chat can't fix. Text chat is basically this is something that voice chat is actually there for people who are dyslexic. They can't read the text chat because their brain works differently. What was her reaction to when somebody asked her about like dyslexia? Well, let me just read it. This is a Twit archive because things tend to get deleted when they're fucking stupid. Nah, just bored. Also, I take offense to you saying people like me aren't marginalized enough to have an opinion on this, even though I'm dyslexic, just because I don't agree with you. What do you think the rational fucking response to that is, okay? Is it ignoring it? Is it responding like an adult? How about take your dyslexic ass the fuck out of my mentions? You can't make this shit up, dog! This shit's wild, dude! Come on! Now, I love how the bottom one's over here is like, imagine not only making fun of someone for having a disability, but using that disability to make fun of them. That's low. I agree. That's pretty fucking low. I love how you go to, whoa, reported for harassment. And, isn't there a clause in like Twitch TV where if you harass somebody outside of Twitch, that could actually lead to a suspension on your account? Wink, wink. Just to go back and actually check, was this deleted? Oh, the account owner limits who can view their tweets. Twitter, you cave in real good, daddy, let me tell you. Now, of course, later on, she did like come to her fucking senses and realize, oh wow, those were some really stupid fucking points. My take on voice chat is that it allows minorities to be abused easily. That's it. That's the whole thing. I don't want to remove it. I promise. This is the thing about the internet that I just don't understand. You're always going to have your assholes. You're always going to have people like that, that sort of try and ruin the fun for people. But there's a fine line between like introducing tools like muting and blocking and then going overboard and trying to like absolutely decimate what are core fundamental features of online multiplayer gaming. But even beyond just that, it's funny to see Twitch take this high road and this hill to die on, because honestly, it comes to a situation where the people you're hiring are usually diversity hires. And to go off on basically like just a little tangent, when you pick people on this merit of diversity thinking that it's going to make your platform more safer, maybe you should pick creators that have the history with the platform, creators that are actually rational, creators that don't come up with bullshit takes like these, creators that have a level of professionalism. Because when you base your hires on this merit, you'll have a much better moderation system than going with these diversity hires of individuals that almost get off on this stupid power trip and almost have no sense of rationality when it comes to like moderating. Moderating a site like Twitch takes, a bit of a level head, which some people on this list have a complete lack of. And you can definitely see going on forward that is probably going to lead Twitch down a much more shittier hole, because you already have an issue with proper moderation. I don't see it getting better with this new safety and moderation staff. And on a personal note, when you come across people like this that try to make society look worse than it is, I'll be real with you, I feel like people nowadays are just way more divided than they are in general, because you got people like this who sort of spread the idea that the world is this evil oyster and like, oh man, being white is a crime, boys. Let me tell you about marginalized groups in society, okay? In the real fucking world, there's two groups of people. There's people that have assets, money, and shit in life, and there's people who have nothing, okay? It's not about your race, it's not about your sex, it's not about all these bullshit factors anymore. It's about what you have versus what you don't. And that's just ultimately the grim reality. And that's kind of why I make videos, so people can escape that grim reality, even if it is for like 15, 20 minutes a day. With that being said though, Twitch.tv, you need to get your shit together. You need to get the right people on board, because these people are making it out that gamers are this evil, like fucked up group when it really isn't. And you're making your site look goddamn stupid in comparison to almost every other streaming platform that's out there. Bottom line, Twitch's safety group sucks. The people behind Twitch's safety group, some of them I guess are okay, and overall the concept is okay, but you got some bad eggs on there that just don't know how to fucking do this stuff right, let me tell you. That being said though, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am out.
but just because it worked once doesn't mean you get to repeat it in the exact same format 2 more times. Anyway, for once, Buck isn't waiting for you and wants you to meet him at his house. Also, by the way, his house is literally right next to Bad Town. You can even see the bar where you first met him from here. Originally, I felt really insulted and nearly broke the game for me. The only thing stopping me from barging into Buck's house earlier was the prompt didn't come up at the door. But I guess you could argue this by saying Jason's changed since his first encounter with Buck. He's colder and more demanding. By Buck sending you on those suicide missions, he accidentally made Jason stronger. More kills means more tattoos, making Jason more powerful, story and gameplay wise.
Go fuck yourself.
You give the knife to Buck and find Keith, clearly in worse shape than any of your previous friends. He recoils when you go near him, begging you not to hurt him.
Please, no more. Please, I beg you. I can't take anymore.
It's a stark contrast to seeing his dominating personality in the club flashbacks. This is someone who's trapped and afraid. The game doesn't outright say it, but it's pretty apparent that Buck bought Keith as a sex slave and only used him as bait for you afterwards.
Actually, what I said was, Keith could leave with you, but you're not going anywhere.
We're walking through that door.
You are when I say you are.
Jason goes lightheaded, and when you come to, the room is changed. The walls are removed and lights hang from apparently nowhere. The background doesn't look plausible, but that's the point. Jason, out of his own mind, has created an arena to confront Buck in. I believe this is his way of coping with the situation. Assuming you don't fail the quick time event, you kill Buck in a quick, clean and efficient way. There's no joy taken in killing Buck. He was an obstacle in the way. When Jason comes to, his hands shaking, realizing what he's done. He's killed many pirates before this, but Buck wasn't just a faceless merc. He was someone who wanted to dominate and control Jason. And without Buck being involved in the story, I don't believe Jason would have the strength to take on Vass or Hoyt. Plus, it's another Australian off the earth, so that's a plus.
You don't need to fucking pipe it, cunt. You fucking only play.
Keith begs you not to tell anyone about what happened, clearly traumatized by it.
Just don't tell them about this, okay?
I won't.
Oh, by the way, he tells you that your younger brother Riley is dead, and he just walks off.
I'll get Riley, and we'll be back in Santa Monica in no time.
Riley's dead.
Believing his brother is actually dead, Jason snaps, applying Sony Vegas vignette filter, promising to kill them all.
I'll get them. All of them. I swear.
Liza, again concerned for you, wants you to stay and grieve. You can tell she cares because she actually closed a book she was reading. Ubisoft, truly the bravest of writers.
You are a true patriot.
Jason again pushes her away. His way of grieving isn't to talk it out, but to kill as a distraction.
Sis, why don't you stay here? I can help. I can take care of you.
Stop making this about us.
What are you talking about?
You can talk to Oliver about Riley's death. This is pretty much the closest he gets to character development outside the pothead in a slasher movie.
Happy 420, everyone. This is the top 13 stoners of Friday the 13th.
I heard about your brothers. That's fucked up. We all took care of each other after Dad died. We're lucky to have you around. My parents, they were too busy traveling the world to notice me. You guys are my family now. And losing Riley and Grant fucking hurts.
Although apparently still too much of a pothead to share his stash.
Hey, can I have a hit of that? No.
You're next, Oliver, right after my overprotective girlfriend. There's a third and final pill you can take, which takes you back to the club in Bangkok. The guys that were starting on Keith and Oliver in the toilets now attack you. You escape into an elevator, seeing everyone in your group. I'm not sure who Mr. Beanie is though. He's in the intro video, but never named. I assume like a cut character that Vass killed off screen.
Do you want me to slice you open like I did your friend? Shut the fuck up!
You can even see him talking, but like nothing comes out of his mouth.
So you got anything else specific planned?
We're just seeing where the flow takes us.
You also have a new guy in your group that Jason introduces.
Oh, hey, everyone. This is Doug. He's the DJ here, an all-around excellent guy. Hey, Doug.
Hey, Doug.
Your older brother, Grant, is the only person to say how dangerous the idea is.
That's what I'm talking about! Jump blind? That's risky.
Oh, come on.
Your new friend, Doug, if that even is his real name, is the entire reason your brothers are dead, your friends are stranded, and Jason is slowly going insane. He's the catalyst for the entire game. If you never met him, Jason and his group would have just gone back to America and lived their average lives. There's no proof he's a spotter, but it can be assumed by him donning mostly red, much like Vars and his pirates. Oh yeah, and the lead writer confirmed it on Twitter, so yeah, not much to go off. Back in the present, you can talk to Daisy again, and you can really feel Jason's arrogance growing.
Keith's sleeping. He seems pretty fucked up. How's it going out there?
I feel like I'm invincible. It's you guys I'm worried about.
This is the way Jason's always acted to his friends, but the island's changed him. Killing Buck was a massive turning point, and as much as Jason is now his own master, it's corrupted him. He begins showing his knife off to Daisy, who isn't too pleased.
What's that?
Oh, this? This is from the tomb of a Chinese warrior.
Well, if I were you, I'd get rid of it.
Why? This knife is going to save us.
Don't let the pretty design fool you. Knives take people away. They don't bring them back.
Nice foreshadowing, Ubisoft.
Later on, you run into Dennis, telling you he's leading an attack for prisoners taken by the pirates, then proceeds to run in the opposite direction back inside the temple. You link up with the Rakyat, who clearly didn't get the same mocap budget that Dennis got. He gives you the explosives, and after planting what clearly isn't C4, you get a call from Liza on Dr. Earnhardt's phone.
Hello?
Hey Jason, it's Lisa.
I'm kind of busy. What's up?
Just letting you know that the boat's coming along. When you back here?
I'm not sure.
You are coming back, right?
Yeah.
Okay. See you soon.
I don't understand.
Jason now seems indifferent to his friend's escape. Like, she fixed the boat. The only thing that can guarantee you safe travel off the island. The thing that can actually bypass the magical barrier that warps you back to the island. Jason should be relieved, but he's so consumed with helping the Rakyat and liberating the island. His home of California with vegan options on the burger menu just seem completely alien to him now. When the ambush actually begins, you're not ambushing pirates. These guys seem a lot more organized, like actual soldiers. I'll talk more about them later. You eventually get to the convoy truck, and inside is...
Hey Jason, you miss me?
Vars Montenegro is the heart of Far Cry 3 and the only real reason I'm making this video. One thing to note is that in the 35 hours I played Far Cry 3, only about 15 minutes had anything to do with Vars. It's stunning how such an amazing character was so underutilized in this game. This is a curse Ubisoft can't ward off in future installments either. 4 hours of gameplay, bad guy appears for a cutscene, 4 more hours of gameplay, bad guy appears for another cutscene, repeat for about 2 more times, and then the bad guy dies. Maybe sometimes you might get lucky and have an antagonist mock you on the radio, but that's nothing compared to seeing them in person.
I've been thinking about my image on the world stage, and I think what I lack is a celebrity endorsement. A pop star. Let's see how much Kanye is going for. Do you follow him on Twitter? He is gold. Oh, I would love to shoot the breeze with that young man.
Vars is the head of the pirates. As most of them lack any sort of real personality, to save time on resources, most of the pirates have their faces covered with helmets and bandanas. I think their biggest character development is stating the various STIs they've contracted.
Yeah, I think that whore gave me the clap. Oh shit, I think that whore gave me the clap.
Vars is important because he is the island and everyone on it. He represents what people will become if they spend too long there. He is the decay that transfers onto Jason as he starts his descent during the events of the game. I think I'm so infatuated with Vars because we see so little of him. There's 3 main villains in Far Cry 3, arguably a 4th I'll bring up later, but honestly, you could scrap all of them and just have Vars and the game would be infinitely better. Hoyt, Vars' employer, just reminds me of the mobsters from a John Wick film, and Buck, a washed up hitman, It's just every Australian when they don't get their 8th bottle of VB.
I'm here for my friend, Keith.
Vars is first introduced by basically telling you how screwed you are. He revels in the chaos, unlike Hoyt, who only traffics people for business. Vars is a loose cannon. He gains nothing by having this conversation with you. There's no information to extract. He's just tormenting and humiliating you, but to him, it's incredibly cathartic.
What is it, Jason? Jason, what is it? Why aren't you laughing now like you did up there? What, is this not fun anymore? Have I failed to entertain you?
He loves to remind you that anywhere apart from where you are right now is freedom, and you've lost that right.
You see, the thing is, up there, you thought you had a chance. Way up in the fucking skies, you thought you had your finger on the pussy trigger. But hermano, down here. Down here.
This is all enabled by the amazing voice and motion capture of Michael Mando. In a lot of games, characters that are motion captured are usually voiced by someone else, but Michael fits both roles. So much so that he appeared as himself in much of the promotional material leading up to the game's release.
I want a cheeseburger, pussy, and a cigarette.
When auditioning for Far Cry 3, Ubisoft thought he'd be too much of a loose cannon and dropped him.
When I initially auditioned for Ubisoft, the character of Voss did not exist. And I gave him anything but what they were looking for. And obviously, I did not get the part.
Only to call him later, telling him they're making a new character based entirely off his performance.
But I get a call a few weeks later saying, Ubisoft liked your audition so much, they're creating this small character based on the audition you have done. The character is going to look like you. It's like water under the bridge.
There's even clips of him performing in his mocap suit, and for someone in a black bodysuit with little balls all over him, I could totally tune out of that just to see Vars in his element.
You gotta get out of here. They mentioned you on the radio. Those idiot fucks, man. You gotta get out.
Could you please stop swearing? Okay, we are in the presence of a lady actress.
Also, why did Michael Mando win an award for the best T-pose in video game history? There's a web series called The Far Cry Experience, and Michael nails the acting of Vars in real life. It's a lot more black comedy than the base game. Like, I don't think there's a scene in Far Cry 3 of Vars blowing a trumpet.
Bobby! Put your gun down! No, you put your gun down. You! If I take one step, you shoot me. Okay? Like this?
Also, there's Christopher Mintz-Plasse, a real-life actor playing himself, and is captured by Vars and tortured in various advertiser-friendly means. And at the end of the video, it asks you to find his body in Far Cry 3, which you actually can. He looks a little bit different though. I assume they didn't have the budget to add his likeness for an Easter egg that 1% of people will find. It's not until several hours into the game you see him again, as you're captured by pirates and wake up to him doing a ballerina dance covering everyone in gasoline. And this is where he actually opens up about himself.
Who gave you that ink? Ask you a question, who gave you that ink? Teacher gave you that ink? My sister gave you that ink? Huh? You think that makes you one of us? You think that makes you like me?
See, as warped as Vars' brain actually is, he still has high respect for family and the values that it brings.
Fuck you! Okay? Fuck you!
Later on in the game, you meet Citra, who leads the Rakyat, the only friendly faction in the game. Well, apart from the civilians, but I wouldn't really call them a faction.
I'll be happy if I just met you.
Citra is actually the sister of Vars, and one thing I never noticed despite the sibling rivalry, as much as Vars talks about his sister, Citra barely ever mentions Vars. Only when you kill him later on in the game does she even acknowledge his existence and why they separated.
He left me the tribe, his birthright. Hoyt Volker lured him away with money, drugs. He became a monster, but he was still my brother.
Citra gives a pretty black and white take on what happened, but Vars has a very different take on it.
There was a time where I'd do anything for my sister, and the first time I ever killed was for my sister. It was not enough for her. No, please. You see, the thing about our loved ones, right? Our fucking loved ones! They come and they blindside you every fucking time.
This is not what someone would say who knowingly betrayed his family. This sounds like someone who was burnt by his family, forced into a corner, and had no way out. And honestly, I believe Vas. His brain is totally scrambled from the drugs or too much Fortnite, but as insane as he is, he's always honest with you. I've already said it, but Michael Mando does an amazing job conveying the pain Vas is feeling here, even including that nervous chuckle at the end that he knows he's gone overboard.
So they say to me, they say, Vas, who the fuck is it going to be? Them or me? Me or them?
Vas is actually so offended he can see Citra on you, via the tattoos you've collected throughout the game, he decides to burn your bodies so there's no remnants of her mark.
It's really too bad that Citra had to hook you up, because now the only way to kill you is to erase you completely. It's okay. Don't worry.
Citra hurt Vas so badly that he wants all memories of her erased. The first time you can see Vas interacting with someone that isn't you, he still goes on about family. It's something cemented into his psyche.
All the time. Family's priceless. Family's priceless. No, please. That is fucking bullshit. Family is an anchor when you are the fucking Titanic. Look at me. Get me in the eye. Family just got you killed.
Now, as insane as Vas is, I personally think it's all an act, a way to intimidate everyone around him, or even as a self-defense mechanism.
Bye-bye. Get you every fucking time, man.
Several missions into the main story, Agent Willis plays an audio recording where Vas is talking to his employer, Hoyt, the man who Citra alleged let him astray, and the way Vas acts in this conversation is nothing like any other interaction in the entire game.
You're getting popular.
Lovely weather we're having. My boss, are you planning a parade? That's why I love you, Vas. So, what about Snow White? You know what? I don't give a fuck about him. I don't give a fuck. Really? Then why am I here? Once you've got the ransom money, his friends are gonna be sort of like that. I shot his older brother. I did what you wanted with his younger brother. He's my sister. She's inking that white boy. I don't give a fuck about your family. It is by my grace that your head isn't impaled on the antenna of my car. Therefore, I would like it if you gave a fuck about Jason Brody. Okay, Hoyt. Okay. All right.
The thing is here, Vas seems calm and collected, the complete opposite of every other encounter you have with him. Usually Vas seems to have a struggle with himself, making snap decisions and acting incredibly erratic.
I'm sorry. I don't like the way you are looking at me.
But here, he's docile and almost sounds intimidated by Hoyt. I think this is Vas's real character. Someone who puts on a show because he knows any sign of weakness, the island will kill him. And